At any time, in an instant, any one of us can be plunged into a life or death emergency, and we may be miles from any help at the time. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of people in danger and the men and women who come to their rescue.
We begin in western Washington on August 17th, 1989.
The basic job is to do a lot of engineering work for companies want to put in dams and groundwater checking, things like that.
It's safe.
With another co-worker, 25-year-old Arnie Moen and Tim Cummins were working together that summer. The two had been friends since childhood.
It was our first day at this actual site, and basically what we're doing was seismic refractions along the creeks. You set off an explosion, sets a series of sound waves, and it bounces back, and you can tell on your seismograph to a certain extent what's down below the ground. If it's rock or if it's like, mud or whatever. When we have our explosive, we have a cap and we hook it onto our stick of dynamite. And you hook it up to a battery on one end, you hook it up another end, you send a charge through and the cap blows into a stick of dynamite.
Clear.
We've done about 4 charges on the line. And my job is to clear the way put in the seismic line. And Arnie's job is basically to handle the explosives.
What are you doing? Good.
Tremendous force. I yelled out for Arnie. He didn't yell, he kind of moaned. It was pretty bad. His left hand was totally gone. His eyes were in the back of the socket with a big triangular part of his ear was gone. Ripped off my sweatshirt, wrapped it around his left arm, and basically turned into compress. I was lucky because there was bleeding to maybe 40% of the arm. There was a lot of blood, but there was a lot of heat, so there was a lot of cauterization.
The dynamite had somehow exploded in Arnie's hand.
Now, the first thing that went through my mind was I didn't want to lose him. We'd done too many kid things, and growing up together, it's like losing someone that's almost closer in your family.
The radio wouldn't reach far enough in the mountainous area, and they were 15 miles from the nearest town. So Tim left Arnie in the care of their co-worker while he ran to get help.
We went up a quarter-mile trail we basically built. It was really rough. I was almost mad in a way. I said, you can't leave me. This isn't real. I don't want this to happen. I tried the lock. It takes a couple minutes to lock. They're kind of older locks. And they just weren't doing it. And I drove as fast as that thing could go, honking my horn all the way, just trying to get anyone that was up there. And all I was thinking about is, Arnie, I gotta go as fast as I can. Every second, it could be his life.
When we continue.
I said, I want this guy on the spine board, and I want to get him out of here now, because the next set of vitals was getting lower.
It had been 30 minutes since the dynamite had exploded in Arnie Moen's hand, when his friend Tim Cummins found someone who could call for help.
You have a CB radio? Got an explosives accident. Stay with me, Arnie.
He's been hurt real bad.
And once he said he got through, I grabbed the first aid kit from him, and then a lady came down, Ruby Hackett. She was in her 4-wheel drive. 911.
The call came into the Whatcom County 911 center at 12:30 p.m.
Prospect Medic 1 and welcome, an aid call.
Volunteer EMTs were immediately dispatched. Professional paramedics with more training and equipment were called in for backup. By this time, Tim had also enlisted the aid of Forester Brock Sharrow and his co-workers, who had been out inspecting logging sites.
We were wondering what kind of emergency was going on. We figured it was a logging accident. until he stopped where there was no obvious logging going on.
I just tried to concentrate on Arnie. I prayed a lot because it was a helpless feeling.
When I got there, I looked at this person and thought that there's no way this guy can be alive. I'm going, "Hi, I'm Brock. I'm here to help you." And the victim goes, "Well, hi, I'm Arnie," which just amazed me that this guy was conscious even, because he didn't look like anybody that should even be alive, let alone talking to me.
Ruby Hockett, a former EMT, took charge of Arnie's care.
He had lost quite a bit of his left arm, and his left ear was gone. I asked him how he was doing and whatnot. I didn't want him to go into shock.
The Welcome Station Volunteer Fire Department ambulance arrived first. From what paramedic Denise Christensen had been told, she expected to find a logging accident.
And you're thinking, okay, now what am I getting into? You know, possible amputation. That's one of the worst scenarios you can think of as far as going to. So on the way there, we prepare ourselves. You try not to think about what you're getting into. You try to think about what you're going to do when you get there. We weren't prepared for the type of injuries that Arnie had. It wasn't just an arm amputation. In fact, the arm amputation was easily controlled. What we were worried about was all of Arnie's facial injuries and his internal injuries.
It was amazing because he had 1,000 pieces of copper wire in his face. I couldn't comprehend that.
I was amazed that Arnie had a stable blood pressure and was not in shock at this point. And I said, I want this guy on a spine board, and I want to get him out of here now, because the next set of vitals was getting lower, and Arnie was starting to shake. So you knew shock was inevitable.
Within 15 minutes, the Bellingham Fire Department was also on the scene, headed by paramedic Jerry Shear.
We had communications with the volunteers on their arrival. They stated they had to go up the creek for about a half a mile or so, and that we would probably need a helicopter.
I didn't know exactly what an explosion like that would do to a hand. I thought it had just been severed. You know, I could put it in a river or something like that. Anything I could find, part of his ear, anything. You know, there's probably a good chance, if I could keep it cold, that it could be reattached. But the explosion was so powerful that it was just, there was no recovery or anything like that.
The worry was that there was no safe place nearby for the helicopter to land in the dense forest.
We were afraid that we would have to load him on our ambulance and take him down about 5 miles down a logging road to get to the helicopter. And we did manage to coordinate with this DNR individual there that had a map and get the helicopter to come in and take a look at this bridge and see if they felt like they could land on it.
The air ambulance helicopter pilot decided to try to land on the logging bridge.
I kept saying to myself, Arnie, keep breathing, keep having a heartbeat. One of those things that you just hope that everything goes right. But we're just lucky in heck that the helicopter could land within 300 yards without having to go a mile, 2 miles.
22 years were going through my mind. Every single thing. Silly things like sitting around playing Risk board games and, you know, goofing around. That's when reality hit me. It's like a stone wall right then. It's going, man, you know, things aren't going to be the same. I just almost wanted to be God and put them back together.
2 months later, Arnie has recovered, but he lost an eye as well as his hand.
I remember it really bothered me because it felt like the stick of dynamite was still in my hand. I could still feel that stick in my hand. And since my hand was there, I couldn't open it up and drop it. That really disturbed me. My brain has a spot for my hand, so it doesn't let it go yet.
Arnie's mother is more accepting.
You've got to look at the positive things. You know, life goes on, and being mad is not going to give him a hand back. Going and having a prosthesis made will give him some function, and we just do the best we can and go on.
I can imagine his psychological pain to some extent, because I've healed with him. So every time I got down, I just thought how good he was doing, and I thought, can't be a wimp.
I've never been envious of people that had more money than me, or could run faster than me, or were stronger than me, or were smarter than me. So I'm not going to be envious of people that have like more hands than me or more eyes than me. I mean, including, you know, how I used to be. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna, you know, do the best I can with what I've got, and that's all you can ask anyone. It's my new attitude. I think it's a good one.
Next.
We're doing 80, 90 miles an hour up the road. I also knew they were armed, and I was hoping that they wouldn't start shooting.